for joining our interview session today. We are very excited to tell you about everything that has to do with individual interviews, any tips and tricks you need to know. My name is Carly Berthume, and I'm the graduate coordinator for student staff selection.
And my name is Kelsey Dillard, and I'm the coordinator for student staff selection and leadership.
And we have time for questions at the end, so feel free to start sending in any that you may have now. We're going to get started with our short little presentation.
Yeah, so when our interviews, so we will start with our Rosen Day, which will be Tuesday, February 3rd. We'll be at the Rosen campus to conduct interviews for those that may need to attend via Rosen. The rest of our interviews will be at main campus, Wednesday, February 4th to February 6th. If you haven't signed up for your time slot, however, please do so. The sign-up deadline is Sunday, February 1st at 11:59 p.m. before it closes.
Yes. Okay, so just some quick interview tips. I highly recommend that you prepare for some situational questions. So these will start off with something like, tell us about a time when, or describe a moment when. And this is a really good opportunity for you to display your leadership skills, your initiative, problem-solving skills, and so much more. So kind of come prepared with a little bit of ideas in your head of some stories or examples that you have that kind of tie to your experience. And when you respond to these questions, I highly recommend you use the START response. This is the exact same as the STAR response if you're familiar with it, just with one more step. So start with describing your situation, which is the context and background behind what exactly was happening. The task, which is a challenge you faced or the responsibility you were given. Action, which is your response to that situation, so the action steps that you took. The result, where you could say the benefits from your actions and the outcome of it. And this one's a little different, is the tie back, which is where you tie back that experience that you gained from it back to the RA role. So that way you can kind of show us how your experience relates to being an RA. And along that vein, here are just some important reminders. Be yourself. There's no such thing as like the perfect mold for an RA. We are truly looking for a wide range of characteristics and different personalities, and we truly want to learn more about you. So don't be so focused about giving the perfect RA response or giving an answer that you think is like, oh, I hope they think I'm the greatest RA of all time. We truly just want to know who you are. And just as a reminder, this is a lot of RA's first jobs. So we're not expecting you to be a pro at everything that RA does. That's essentially what training is for. So really just pull examples from your experiences, whether that's from a job, projects, a class, personal experiences. Truly pull from what you know. And then like we mentioned on the last slide, tie that back into the RA job.
Yeah. So as far as the selection time, which I know is everyone's like biggest question right now, all offers will go out on Friday, February 27th. And then the deadline to accept or decline if you're selected for either the RA role or alternate is a week later on Friday, March 6th. Just as a reminder for you all, as you all are entering your interviews, is that we do have those 3 contract options that you all listed within your application. We have the summer contract, which will be from May to August 2026, our academic contract, which is for our academic communities that are open during the academic year. So that'll begin in the July, August 2026 through May 2027, so the academic year. Then our annual contract, which starts the same time, July/August 2026, and then goes through next summer until August 2027.
All right, perfect. That is all we have for just some of the context behind how the interviews are going to go. If you have any questions, now is the time to send them. Our email can get a little bit crazy. So this is the perfect time to ask anything that you may have. We will be able to answer it directly for you. But as always, you can reach out to us at reslifeselection@ucf.edu. We will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can. If you have something more pressing or urgent, again, now is the perfect time to ask. But if not, this presentation will be uploaded to YouTube from the conclusion of this live stream. You can go back and watch anything. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to email us. All right, so our first question is, how long do interviews generally last?
Yeah, so for our individual interviews for the RA role for this year, we will have the 45 minutes to ask questions to the candidates and allow you all the chance to ask us questions as well. So that's about as long as the interview should last. We do have that time block to allow our professional staff the chance to note down any of the things you said within your answers.
All right. Along that similar vein, do interviews generally fill up the full hour time slot? That's entirely up to you. You will have the full amount of time to answer the questions that you are given, but you do not have to take up the full amount of time. So it truly depends on how lengthy you want to make your answers, but it doesn't mean you have to take up the whole hour. Where will interviews be held? So interviews will be held in the Housing Services Building. This is placed in the Neptune community. So it's not the Housing Administration Building, which is in Libra. It is the Housing Services Building in Nike. If you go to the Nike parking lot, it is that big building at the end that is not a residence hall. All right, for the attire of the interview, it's a business casual or UCF Spirit attire.
Yeah, so for the attire, you can wear either business casual or UCF Spirit attire. We are aware that not everybody might have access to business casual since it's a lot of our candidates' first times having an individual interview. And so if you have any UCF Spirit attire, appropriate attire, feel free to wear that. But if you have business casual, we also welcome that as well.
All right. Will the questions for the interview be similar to the ones we answered on our initial application, and would it be bad to reuse those answers? These will be a completely different set of questions. So it is not going to be those exact same questions that you answered on your application. We kind of want to learn a little bit more information about you as a person and as a candidate. So no, they will not be the same questions. All right, where will the interviews be held at Rosen? So the Rosen interviews are going to be held, if you wanted to check in, you'd go to the Rosen community office, which is like where the housing community is in the Rosen campus. That's where you would check in, and that's where we would grab you for your interview. Okay. Is it okay to think for a while before answering a question, or should we answer more quickly? Absolutely. Feel free to take the time you need. You want to make sure that you answer all the parts of a question. So I think it's completely acceptable to take your time before you answer the question. You're more than welcome to ask them to repeat it for you if needed. But yeah, definitely feel free to take the time you need because we want to make sure that you were given the full response that you were capable of.
All right, this question's asking about, I just found out that I was accepted for the housing lottery. The email says that I need to cancel by February 4th to avoid penalty. Do you know if they make exceptions for potential RAs? So if you are selected for the RA role, then we'll work with assignments to make sure that that's taken care of if that is the question that you're asking. But yeah.
All right. If you get offered the summer contract, will you renew to get an academic contract for the same year, or will your job end in August 2026 and you would no longer be an RA?
So our summer contract's a little bit different. Those are on an as-needed basis since we do currently have our current set of RAs as well that we are also trying to fill those positions for the summer more specifically. If you're chosen for an academic contract through this cycle, then you would be an RA through the academic year, and then you would leave for summer, and then if you decide to come back and are selected, then you'll be an academic contract again, if that makes any sense. So it's not like you'll lose the job if you choose an academic contract. It just means that that's when you will be employed.
All right. Are there any specific dates for the academic, year-long, and summer leases? Or are they not finalized yet?
The specific move-in and move-out dates for each of the contracts is not solidified yet since there was some back and forth with the actual academic year calendar. That's why we have late July/August 2026 to May 2027 for the academic year contract, and then late July/early August 2026 to August 2027 for the annual contract, for example. So we're still waiting to hear back from the academic calendar as well as our human resources department to make sure that whoever is selected to be an RA for the next year has the most accurate pinpointed dates. However, that's generally when we would expect the individuals to expect to be within the role.
All right. So the next question is, do you know how many people got an interview and how many RA positions are available? Transparently, the answer is not currently. So we do have a certain amount of RA positions, and then we do fill some of those slots with the returners. And that process is currently ongoing. So we don't currently have the numbers to say how many slots are available. Truly, my best advice would be try not to focus too much on the statistics and the odds of getting a position. I truly would focus on yourself as a candidate and what you can do to kind of show yourself to us to really increase your chances of getting the role instead of focusing more on the numbers.
All right, this question is asking about the dates of trainings for the academic contract and if they overlap with the annual housing agreements. So yes, so all training for the RA position, whether you're an academic contract or annual contract, happen at the same time. Those dates are still also to be determined because of the academic calendar, but the training for all of the contracts does overlap. Yes.
All right. Is there anything else we should potentially do to prepare ourselves for the interview outside of what you told us today? Not that I could think of. I think I made a pretty good presentation. But truly, my best advice, like I said, is to kind of get those stories locked down. Really take some time to think to yourself about your experiences. Think about what you've done in the past, because my best advice is like, I got my first ever job by applying the most random of experiences, and they said it was like their favorite experiences that I was able to share. So don't feel like you really need to have the most RA experience of all time. Truly just go in and think of what was your strongest moment and what do you believe truly showcased your work ethic or your leadership or your flexibility and whatnot. That would truly be my biggest advice. So that way when you come in, you sort of have that prepared of knowing, okay, they asked a question about this. I have the perfect example of the time I did that, and I'm going to answer using the START method. Truly use that method. I cannot recommend it enough. It is your key to success.
All right. This question is asking, is there an amount of money will be paid, or is there payment, or is the payment free housing? So all of our resident assistants do receive free housing as a part of their position, and then a stipend based off of the placement that they have within our communities. I don't know the exact amount off the top of my head, just so because we have different communities. But yes, to your question, both. They do receive a stipend, and they also do receive that free housing component.
Next question, are there any specific qualities that you look for in RA? And the answer is not really anything in specific. I think what we mostly look for is teamwork. A lot of our staffs can be pretty large, and a lot of them can be very small. So I would say it's really important to be able to work well with others and show your collaboration skills with others, because it can be a job where you have to rely on each other pretty heavily. So that's something I would say is pretty strong. But outside of that, a lot of it is just based on your own skills and capabilities. I don't know if you have anything else.
I think Carly answered it pretty well. There's not one specific quality. I think that just showing up and being yourself, allowing your personality to shine is really important whenever you're applying for such roles like this, since we are looking for a different personalities, characteristics of candidates. So yeah.
All right, next question. As a freshman, if I haven't had many experiences in college yet, is it okay to share stories or experiences from high school? Absolutely. We don't penalize you for going to high school. If that's your most recent experience, that's 100% what we want you to pull from. It's not going to discount against you and be like, oh, they're not as experienced. Because again, this is a lot of people's first jobs. There are a lot of first time in college students who are applying. So I just definitely recommend feel free to use those high school experiences rather than just confining yourself to college. Because like you said, you might not have that much in college yet. So it's really important that you just pull from what you know. So that's what I would highly recommend. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, but if you have any, speak now or forever hold your peace. All righty. I am seeing no more questions. Okay. Oh, I see one more. Perfect. Okay. How manageable would you say is our position with also being part of a club?
That's a great question. I think it also just depends on the person, how well that you manage your time, but also how communicative you are with your supervisor and your team members as well, to see how well you can balance that, because you're also a student first. So making sure that you balance that academic component, the RA job if you're selected, then also any clubs that you're a part of. Many of our RAs are a part of a wide variety of clubs and other engagements outside of the RA position. So I would say it's manageable just from how I see them interact with their peers and their other organizations. But yeah, Cardi, anything there?
Yeah, I would also say that's completely right. It's also just essential to communicate very well with your coordinator what kind of expectations you do have outside of that job. I know a lot of times when you get a little bit busy, you kind of get into the mentality of oh, I can do everything without communicating it. But my strongest piece of advice is just making sure hey, if you do have competing responsibilities or a lot going on, we do kind of hope that our RAs are able to communicate that to their coordinators. So the coordinators can kind of support them in the best way that they can. can, because as a college student, life can get busy, but we are always here to support you.
Mm-hmm. All right, this question's asking if we're offered and accept the summer contract, is it generally an easy process to continue moving forward as an RA, or do we need to redo our application? So you do not need to redo your application. This selection timeline in particular is a little bit different from what we've done previously, since this is the new iteration of us using our academic and annual contracts. So if new RAs offer a summer contract, we would take that into account with any other agreement that they have. If they are selected, it's a little bit different this year because of the different contracts and the implementation of that. So I wouldn't worry too much about having to redo your application or anything like that. I would just focus on presenting your best self at your interview and having that light shine, and then we'll explain further if you're selected to make sure that you're aware and make the most accurate decision.
All righty. Okay, seeing no more questions, just a last minute reminder of what the dates are going to look like. Offers will go out for Friday, February 27th. That's when you will see any decision. So like we said, an application, that could be an offer, it could be a decline, or it could be a position on our wait list. Please make sure that you keep an eye out for that email, because the deadline to accept is Friday, March 6th. If you do not accept it by that time, we might have to fill that slot from someone else on the wait list, and that is a very quick turnaround that we need. So please keep an eye on your email, and we will be sure to reach out to you then. We're very excited for y'all to join us for the interviews. Kelsey, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. If you have any other questions, though, please do email us at reslifeselection@ucf.edu. We do only look at that during business hours, so if you do happen to email us after 5 p.m., please know that we won't be able to reply to that until the next business day.
Alrighty, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.